www.OGHuskyRadio.com. Broadcasting live, east side of Los Angeles, worldwide. Special guest, honored special guest today. A lot of history, a lot of stuff that the average people that listen to this show don't know about. And I just want to share it because it affects everyone, you know what I mean? Myself personally, but we'll get into all that. Go ahead and introduce yourself. Who we got in the spot?
What's up, man? This is Yuri Styles.
And who's the picture we have to your left?
This is my brother Arlok.
Arlok. Just give us a little story, a little history, or like for people that may not know, you know what I mean? Area where he grew up, all that good stuff.
Well, he grew up in East LA, went to Torres High School, and he was just a badass bomber, man. You know, good dude. I mean, never heard bad shit from anybody that knew him. You know, so I mean,
from what you know, what's your relation to him?
You know, this is how he put it out. He's always looked at me like a father figure instead of a brother, because I've always lectured him and just lecture him because of him always doing things that I always thought he was doing bad. You know what I mean?
Well, even just the name, right? I mean, how he got the name, but
the freaking name was like, dude, what does RLOK stand for? You know, so
yeah.
You know, it took maybe a year for us to realize what it really stands for, and yeah.
Because the nickname was Rascal.
Rascal. Mm-hmm.
But he was writing Rascal.
Yeah.
And you guys kind of caught on to that.
Yeah, and it was hard to, you know, believe if he was or not.
Yeah.
Because he was good at freaking looking at us in the eye and just like lying about it. You know what I mean? Like, so one day we caught him. You know, he had a folder full of freaking Rascal and RL1 and Arlok. So he was coming up with the name already. You know what I mean? And
But just for the sake of history and to archive this, but you were involved in it too, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I was younger, yeah.
When you were younger, is that where you picked it up from?
You know what? I would say he picked it up more from my friends. Okay. He would see like my friends come down and they'll show their little book, you know, like bombs and stuff. But I never really spent time going out there and tagging up the walls or anything like that, you know.
It is what it is, but why did you want to deter him from that though? Like the realest shit though, like people that are listening that might not know, like why were you trying to deter him from that? Like why'd you want to keep him away?
Because of all the stuff I seen. You know, back then, you know, when you were from a crew, you know, sometimes you had to join the neighborhood where you lived in, and sometimes people would join those neighborhoods. Those crews would die off, you know, because some people were not with that, you know what I mean? They didn't want to get involved and all that.
Hold the mic up a little bit closer. Hello? Yeah, there you go. Yeah, and you're from being East Los Angeles, correct? Yeah, and definitely we want to stress that because it's not like the easiest thing would be like, well, you did it. Why are you hating on him for doing it? But you came from that era where it transitioned really bad, and we don't really speak about that too much when we archive hip-hop. But especially in East Los Angeles, the graffiti culture drastically changed because of the gang lifestyle that is relevant out here. So when people hear like, well, he was the older brother that was trying to keep him out of it, you were trying to keep him out of all the extra stuff that went along with it because you knew it. So after you guys figure out that Rascal now is writing Arlok and realize that you're not gonna stop him, what happens next, man?
Well, we kind of let him do his thing, you know, and you know, as long as he was home every night, you know, it wasn't a big deal, you know. It's just I would always tell him, hey, just be careful, you know, don't be hanging out with people you don't know, and be not late at night, you know, walking and stuff, you know, because you know it's just sad, you know, when you hear about somebody out there and, you know.
What are some of the stories that you hear about him that you didn't know, like when you meet people?
How crazy it was, like hot-headed and shit. I'm like, you know, my brother, he never picked a fight with me. And me and my other brother, we always bumped heads, you know what I mean? But hearing that he would like, you know, he was one of those dudes that would just KO some dude, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
You know, he wasn't a small kid. He was a stocky ass dude, you know. But I couldn't picture him being that way, you know. Like, my brother.
So you never saw that side?
Nah, man.
Yeah.
My brother, with me, he was just like that kid. You know what I mean? Yeah. I always looked at my brother like that kid. You know, he's a good kid. You know.
But even those, I mean, those are still good stories. I mean,
yeah.
even he held it down.
Oh yeah, when I would hear stuff like that, I'll be like, man, what the hell?
Yeah, he held it down.
And I'll ask him, hey, did you beat somebody else? He's like, no.
Well, he wasn't writing either.
Yeah.
Because you say he would come home sometimes too with paint, right? He had paint all on him.
Oh yeah, bro. Like if you fell on a freaking paint or it fell on him, or you know.
And then too, also you said that you met people too that would be like, nah, I still want to do more than when they went out to go.
Yeah. I heard a story where they were gonna go riding, and they were passing by a bridge. I believe it was the Downey one. And he said, like, you know what? I'm gonna bomb the Downey sign. And he just went up there and he made a big old bomb, bro. And somebody caught a picture of it. You know, that was sick. You know.
Well, the shirt you're wearing right now. Tell us the story behind that shirt too, though.
Oh, okay. There's a video where somebody's recording him, and he's tagging his crews. And on the last part, he's writing Arlok. So I kind of paused it because he's putting the can in his pants. He's about to walk away from it. But just the look he kind of gave to his name, it caught my attention. I was like, damn, it's like, he loved his name. You know what I mean? He liked putting it up there, And I just froze it and I started like chopping it up, making like a little design out of it, And that's where it came from. This design,
Definitely. The shirts. They're not mass produced, but if someone's interested, they can hit you up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
if somebody wants one,
let them know with Instagram where they could link up to purchase that, or what is it? Eerie Styles?
They could hit me up on Eerie Styles, or hit me up on Real Recognize Real. Cool.
Also, and then for his work, RL1, the number 1 underscore, and then THELOK. That's where you'll see most of his work, though, right?
Yeah.
If you follow Instagram at RL, the number 1 underscore, the LOK, that's where you can see most of the work. Did you know when he was alive how much he was putting in work? I mean, even though.
Oh man.
Yeah.
I wasn't aware of how much he was doing. Like the trains.
Yeah.
Like, my brother, he kept a lot of stuff from me. He just didn't want to hear me. Like I said, that was just me always like, hey, what are you doing? Like checking him all the time.
You're that guy, not
yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, when I saw his Instagram, because he even had me blocked. I couldn't see his stuff.
Shit.
Yeah, and his thing was not private.
Yeah, but he blocked you though.
He blocked me, dude. So,
it's dope though, and we're interviewing you now. You know.
For real, dude. So when I seen his page, bro, I was amazed. I wish I would have took the time to really go with him one day and just do that. Like bust a big old bomb with him. You know what I mean? Like I saw the love he had for it.
Yeah.
Especially like how he'll do such detail to his bombs. Like it's just crazy. Especially when he would write his son's name, Nico. Like that was like a little trademark of his. Like when you put the Arlok, you had to put the Nico in the bottom. So it's pretty cool.
And even now, though, you're telling your story, you still see spots rocking that you didn't know.
Dude. The other day, driving, like I said, I was thinking about my brother, and out of the blue, I looked to my right, and a freaking truck with a big old Arlok passing right by me, man. And I was sick,
Yeah, and then Beardo sent you. There's for anybody. There's one that goes through Highland Park. That's the Superior, right? The Superior is one of the trucks that frequents the Superior right there in Highland Park. But there's an Arlok rocking right there. Yeah, and the reason why I say that too is for people, especially that listen, that are in that area. That's something you don't want to touch. We want to keep it rocking as much as we can.
At first, I thought my brother must have paid this fool to promote it or something, Because that shit's everywhere, Knowing my brother, he would do something like that, He probably did him a favor or something,
The story, the night. Well, I'll let you tell. The night we were gonna interview him.
Yeah.
What he had asked you to come through to get interviewed.
He had asked me, hey, bro, I'm gonna have an interview. he had asked me like a week before, and then he asked me again Tuesday, the week that he passed. He goes, hey, you want to go with me? And I was trying to talk him out of it. I was like, for what? You know, like, where's it gonna be? He's like, oh, it's gonna be like at a house. And I'm like, is there gonna be a lot of people? You know, like, he goes, yeah, there's gonna be like people kicking it. And I was like, nah, don't even go. You know? Yes. And he was, oh, well, you know, he's known. You know, like he was talking good about you. And I was just like, that's not my set. You know, I've always called him Buddy. Like, that's always been like my nickname to him. You know what I mean? So whenever I would talk to him, it wouldn't be like, hey, Miguel, or hey, Michael, like, Buddy. Yeah. You know, and people would trip out like, why is he calling you Buddy? You know? But when he asked me to go with him, man, like, I just didn't feel like being around that type of vibe. You know what I mean? Yeah. I looked at it differently. I was looking at it like, oh, just people getting drunk and getting crazy or something. You know what I mean? But man, like, I wish I would have gone with him, man. Like, my brother would have been home. You know what I mean?
Yeah, a lot of people don't know, and it's not I don't even think I've ever shared it on air, but what happened that night is that, well, before that, let me give a little history, is that we stay drinking, we stay partying. Of course, it's all fun and shit, but we do our archiving hip-hop, so we do hold the responsibility. But what would happen is towards later in the night, I would realize that I'm drinking a little too much, and then fucking the interviews would be shit, you know what I mean? Let's be honest, you know what I mean? Someone drunk behind the mic trying to interview, it's not really the fucking thing you want to hear, you know? So I stopped drinking during interviews, you know what I mean? And people may have noticed or may not, you know what I mean? Because I'm such a professional, you know? No mames, wait. But so what happened is that night he was running late, and we had done a grip of interviews, man. And it is true, there was a lot of people that night, you know? We're chilling. So once the interviews were done, we started drinking. Our DJ had bounced out already. Like, we weren't equipped to handle the interview. When he showed up late, we were in the back in the cut. People that know where the old spot was, you know, we're in the back. He pulled up in the front. He had Beardo's number. Beardo was his contact, and Beardo had left already. So he's calling Beardo, and Beardo's like, I'm not even there, dog. I left, but let me call. My phone rings, and Beardo's like, yeah, Arlok's outside, dog. I'm like, wow, fuck, I can't interview him, dog. I'm already drunk. I don't have a DJ. You know, we'll reschedule it, you know? And that was the night, you know what I mean? Like, I was telling you off there, and like I said, it's like, for a while I went through, like, I didn't want to do it no more, dog. Like, I'm like, I paid my part. I contributed what I could, you know what I mean? But it just solidifies, like, the responsibility that personally that I have, you know what I mean? So when you see what it meant to him, like, when you see that as a brother, like, how can I be like, oh, well, I'm done with it? You know what I mean? Like, oh, I'm done. Like, how many more stories are there still to archive? You know, like that. But that's, you know, like I said, I never really shared that at all. Plus, like I was telling you, the time, fuck, you know, we got to get the DJ here. We got to get everybody here. Like, you know, even the spot with Green Ave, shout out Green Ave, hooking it up. But yeah, like I said, it's something we never share, dude. So, like, to have you come in here, like, I wouldn't feel comfortable, like, telling that story without you here. You know what I mean? So, like, people that don't know history, like, well, damn, I thought you guys were gonna interview him. You guys promoted you were gonna interview him. You know what I mean? But
no, I remember him showing me the promote.
Yeah.
And I thought, damn, you did all that? Like, there was like a gang of pictures, right? And I'm all like, what you doing? Like, I was trying to find out where he's at, you know? He was like, oh no, they're old.
Yeah. I stopped.
So that's what he would always say, like, oh, they're old, man. I don't even go tagging no more. Cause I would make fun of him. I'll be like, man, you're too old for that shit, fool. You're 20 years old. You know, get your shit together, you know.
But for the same reason, like I said, and I want to reiterate that too, is that you wanted to keep him away from what you knew what it was. I just wanted
to keep him away from trouble, bro. You know, like, you know, a lot of times you want to be out there, you just want to do a bomb, but you never know who you're gonna run into. You know what I mean? You're gonna run into somebody that, you know, doesn't know how to do bombs, and he's gonna freaking hate on you. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I just try keeping him away from trouble. You know.
I want to thank you for sharing the story. You know what I mean?
Thank you, man.
And once again, if you were interested in the shirt, they're not really like a retail shirt, but if you know what I mean, it's something that you want or something, like, you know what I mean? Instagram at Erie Styles. You know what I mean? They're not mass produced, but, you know, custom made. If you're something you're really interested, hit them up. I want to thank you for sharing the story, dude, and being able to complete what we started, you know, when we booked him to interview him.
I wish I would have known more of what he was doing, but you know what I mean? But nah, thank you, man. Thank you for having me.
If anything, like, as the older brother, you know what I mean? Like, this is your opportunity to talk to, like, generations, you know what I mean? Like I said, and that's why I want to keep reiterating that you're the older brother, but you weren't hating on Graff. You were hating on everything that comes along with it.
Yeah, you know, it's just the way it changed, you know, being on drugs, you know, being all messed up and not really being yourself, you know what I mean? There's having love for something like tagging, rapping, and stuff like that. But if you're just like, you know, getting so fucked up that you can't even talk, like, dude, you know what I mean? Like, somebody needs to kind of correct you. Like, hey, don't come out here like that, you know? Like, come out here and be presentable, you know what I mean? Don't look like a druggie, you know what I mean? But yeah, you know, just a word out there for everybody, you know, just, you know, you have a friend like that, you know, just, you know, don't necessarily gotta check them, but like, hey, you know, just
check them.
Be there, you know.
We gotta start doing that now. You know what I mean? Like, straight up.
Too many people going, man, and too many accidents, bro. You know what I mean? Too many freaking, and it's sad, bro. You know what I mean? I never thought I would lose my brother. Like, you know, you never think about stuff like that. But when it happens, dude, it's just crazy, dude. You know, it's just, you know, it makes you more aware of what's going on, you know, and how serious this situation is, you know.
OGHuskyRadio.com, Instagram at Erie Styles, that's EERIE Styles, and then also Instagram RL1_the_LOK with the K. Thank you for coming through. Any shout outs before we cut out, man?
Yeah, shout out to Real Recognize Real.
Yeah, interview with them coming up pretty soon too. We're gonna make that happen too.
I want to throw a shout out to East of the River.
Yeah.
Double D, Green Avenue, and OG Husky, man. Thank you, man.
There it is. OG Husky Radio. Stay posted. More interviews to come.